Hi, everyone. I'm Judy the YouTube Lawyer. Today's live stream is a continuation of a deposition reading in Charlie Adelson's lawsuit against Berkshire Life Insurance Company. So as many of you all know, Dr. Charlie Adelson, DMD, is currently sitting in Leon County Jail in Florida. He's accused of masterminding the murder for hire of his former brother-in-law, FSU law professor Dan Markel. So this is a lawsuit that Adelson filed back in 2020. He was trying to get disability insurance benefits, alleging that he had a back injury. So this is a continuation of the last live stream where I read the first part of Dr. Kishner's deposition. And Dr. Kishner is a neurologist in Florida who is expected to be an expert witness on the plaintiff's behalf. So this is what he looks like, and this was a remote deposition done by Zoom in mid-December last year by the attorney representing the insurance company, Wendy Furman. So let's get started. I will try to get that PDF on the screen so that if anybody is really interested, then you can always follow along and read along later on replay. Thank you all for being here and continuing to care about the Dan Markel case. This is sort of tangentially related in that a lot of the information from Charlie's disability insurance cases have touched upon whether his drop in income was actually due to bad publicity after he was named as a suspect in the murder. Hey, Mimi, thank you for being here also. Thank you guys all out there in YouTube land. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Okay, so let's get started. I think I ended on about page 61 the last time, so we'll definitely get through this because the whole thing is about 108 pages long. So I'm going to go ahead and get to page 61. Okay, so this is a neurologist who is being paid big bucks, in my opinion, big bucks to do a deposition. He did see Charlie Adelson a few times, and he's being paid to testify on his behalf. There is no trial date scheduled for Charlie, either in the criminal case as well as this civil case. Although, based on Friday's hearing, it looks like Charlie's criminal trial might occur sometime in the January to March time frame of next year. Okay, so the questioner is Wendy Furman. And at this office visit, did Dr. Adelson report to you that he was continued to experience pain in working? Yes, he did. Did he report that he was having marked pain with full days of work? Yes. So is it your understanding that he would have full days of work back at the time he was suffering? Well, sometimes actually, now that you mentioned it, so sometimes basically he would try to limit the amount of time that he did it in a workday specifically, because that really was the problem. If he worked short bits, he could manage better. But he would go to offices, they would have booked up a whole bunch of patients. He really couldn't just say, go away. So sometimes he extended the amount of time that he was working just to accommodate the patients in the facility. And those events caused a significant increase in pain, whereas if he was able to divide the time up, he functioned much better. Is what you described what Dr. Adelson told you he experienced when he has a full day of work treating patients? What was the question? Is what you just related in terms of what Dr. Adelson experienced with a full day of work, is that what he reported to you? Oh, yes, that's correct. Did you have an opportunity to see him and treat him when he had, in fact, performed a full day of work and was experiencing this type of pain complaints that he reported? No, I didn't separately verify it. And what he described to you in terms of being able to work with his schedule limited to that number of hours per day. That was something that he reported to you alleviated his back pain, correct? I wouldn't say it alleviated it, it reduced it. And in this office visit note from June 20th, 2018, under past medical history, there's a reference there to lower back pain, left wrist surgery, and TENS unit. The TENS unit wasn't noted at the earlier visit. Is there any significance as to why a TENS unit was noted in this visit note? Oh, probably a change in my medical assistant. So that's an entry that your medical assistant made based on what the patient's reporting to her, him or her at that visit. No, some medical assistants are more detail-oriented than others, so, sorry, need some water. With respect to TENS unit, that's not something that you had recommended at the earlier visit to Dr. Adelson or discussed. No. With him? No. If you had recommended it or discussed it with him at the earlier visit, would that have been recorded in your note? Yeah, I would have written a prescription for the TENS unit. And you conducted an examination of Dr. Adelson on this June 20th, 2018 visit, correct? I did. Looking over those exam findings, are they essentially the same normal exam findings that you had noted in a previous visit for motor findings? That is correct. And the same for sensory and reflexes and gait and coordination? Yes. Those are all the same? Yes. And then with respect to the lumbar spine, the findings there remain consistent with the earlier visit. Is that correct? Yes. And your recommendation for Dr. Adelson at this visit was what? Basically continued thoracic lumbar spine pain, spasm, tenderness, pain precipitated by position of his work and related to posture that he has to take to do the procedures required by his occupation. I suggested reducing the hours of work to avoid sustained flexion and lateral flexion postures, and non-steroidals help to a limited degree. Well, at this visit, you made the recommendation for him to continue with the work limitations that he told you provided some relief from his back pain symptoms, correct? Yes. And when was your next visit with Dr. Adelson? I think that's the February visit. I believe there's one for January 9th, 2019. Is that correct? Yeah. I think yeah. Here it is, yeah. Hasselbrock. Wendy, can we just take like a very short 3-minute break? I know we're trying to work through this quickly. Ms. Furman, sure, we can go off the record. So they go off the record and get back on at 11:29 by Ms. Furman. Dr. Kishner, we were looking, I believe, at the office visit note you had for Dr. Adelson from 2019. Yeah. January 9th, 2019. Is that correct? That is correct. And in this note, there's a section of history of present illness. Who would make the note for that section? This one, this is me. Okay, so the information that's recorded there under history of present illness, is that what Dr. Adelson reported to you at that visit? That's it, what the history is. And at this point, he was reporting that he was currently doing about 18 to 23 hours of work per week, correct? Yeah. And he was doing about 4 hours of effective work time per day, correct? Yes. And he related that his pain was related to his work hours, correct? Yes. But more specifically, the degree of pain was related more to his position than the hours of work. And what he described there, that's recorded in your notes, is what you're describing in terms of the positioning. That's what, yes, Dr. Adelson reported to you, correct? That is correct. You also conducted an exam of Dr. Adelson at that visit, correct? Yes. Your motor and sensory and reflex findings were all normal, correct? Correct. Dr. Adelson's gait and coordination were all normal on testing exam, testing evaluation as well, correct? Yeah. And you noted the same thoracolumbar spine tenderness and spasm of muscles in that visit as well, correct? Correct. And after that visit, in January 9th, 2019, did you make any recommendation for any neurologic testing for Dr. Adelson? No. Do you have any further treatment recommendations as far as Dr. Adelson at that visit? No. It really was pretty much status quo. And your next visit with him was in February of 2021, correct? Yes. So you went approximately 2 full years without seeing Dr. Adelson, correct? Yes. And then this visit was a telehealth visit? Yes. So you were not able to conduct an exam at that point. Is that correct? That is correct, even though there seems to be one in that report. Is that record of the exam noted there? Is that a repeat of his prior exam findings? Yes. That's the victim of cut and paste. But you didn't actually examine him on February 9th of 2021, correct? That's correct. Do you have any recommendations that were different based on that visit for Dr. Adelson? No. When you saw Dr. Adelson on February of 2021, did you know that he'd filed this lawsuit against Berkshire seeking disability insurance benefits? I don't think I discussed that with him. Did you learn at some point that he had filed a lawsuit against Berkshire for disability insurance benefit? Not really a lawsuit until we discussed the whole deposition, but obviously I updated the evaluation. And then I guess when I got the Dr. Bomar report and made a comment, and that was in November, I obviously knew that this had progressed. And have you talked with Dr. Adelson at any point since February 9th of 2021? No. So the only contact you've had about your testimony here is with his attorneys. Is that correct? Yes. Have Dr. Adelson's attorneys asked you if you would provide expert witness testimony in this matter? It has come to that, yes. And did you review materials in connection with providing expert witness testimony? I reviewed the material from Dr. Bomar's report, but nothing other than what we've already discussed. Okay. Well, specifically, for purposes of providing your testimony as an expert, was that limited to review of Dr. Bomar's report? Well, that and review of my records and the imaging study reports. So in order to provide testimony in this matter regarding Dr. Bomar's report, you also reviewed your treatment records and the MRI report, as well as the old records. I mean, obviously the records that we're talking about go back to 2018, and obviously I don't keep all that stuff current in my head. So I have reviewed the records, reviewed the report by Dr. Bomar, and the imaging reports. And just be clear, when you say, quote, the old records, unquote, that you reviewed, those are your own 2018 records that were in your private practice's records that you reviewed. Is that correct? As well as the prior records that you and I have already discussed. So you reviewed other doctors' records in connection with providing an opinion regarding Dr. Bomar's report. Is that correct? No. Okay, what? You asked me. I need to know. You asked me. Okay, looks like they're interrupting each other here. Answer a different question before. That was a different question. You asked me in preparation for giving testimony as an expert witness, what did I review? And I reviewed the entirety of my record, the past records that you and I have already discussed from Dr. Gottlieb and Fadarani, etc., as well as the workman's comp thing. Separately, I also had received a report from Dr. Bomar. And then I made a comment on that, which you had the report from November 3rd, 2021, but that reflects specifically Dr. Bomar's notes, not my prior review of the other records. Okay, and so because we talked about earlier the time period in 2018 when Dr. Adelson came to you to begin treatment as a new patient, correct? Yes, and at that point in time, you were also reviewing his other doctors' medical records in connection with potentially providing expert testimony for Dr. Adelson in the 2018 time period. Is that correct? No. Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness. We've discussed this. As would be my standard practice is seeing any new patient, and we said that in January 2018, he was being seen as a new patient. We would request past medical records relating to their problem. That's what we did. Now, at that point, I had no idea that there was an issue with Guardian or Standard or what, or if there was any litigation. I was just reviewing the records. Subsequent to that, when we discussed that, you asked me, did I know anything about it? And I said, well, we provided the report and information as to his work status. But again, that wasn't specifically in terms of any litigation with anybody. Now, coming forward, yes, I knew that we were going to have this deposition. And in preparation for that deposition, I did review the records. I did review the report from Dr. Bomar and made a comment on that, Ms. Furman. Okay, so for today's deposition, you had gone back and reviewed all of those old medical records from Gottlieb, Fedorani, including the medical report from one of the insurance companies. Is that correct? Yeah. And Dr. Bomar's report? Yes. Have you provided any report regarding your review of those records? Object to the form. Witness, inaudible. I have the report from, I'm sure you have my comments regarding Dr. Bomar's report, but Ms. Furman, the only excuse me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Answer. I didn't make a summary report of all of the other past medical records. The report that you reviewed from Dr. Bomar, was that just a single report from Dr. Bomar? Yeah. And what was the date of that? That report from Dr. Bomar was October 19th, 2021. Did you review Dr. Bomar's initial report dated April 23rd, 2017? No. No. And so you did not review an addendum from Dr. Bomar dated April 27th, 2017. Is that correct? I believe that's correct. Let me be sure. No, I don't think so. And did you review Dr. Bomar's report where he commented specifically about your office visits notes, 3 of them, in October 9th, 2021 report? I don't know. Yes, I don't know. You said 3, but he said, quote, he was seen by a neurologist, Dr. Kishner, several dates in 2020, 2018. Okay, I believe his materials were sent to you this morning by Mr. Hasselbrock. Are those the materials you're looking at right now? No, those are not what I'm looking at right now. Okay, so in the materials you have available to you, you also had a report from Dr. Bomar dated October 9th, 2021. It's still dated the 19th of October 2021, and I think it says, it starts out inaudible, reviewed medical records, several dates, yada yada, and then after my report dated April 23rd, 2017. So this is the report that is dated the 19th. I don't know if there's any other one. The report from Dr. Bomar that you reviewed, it's dated at the end of the report, October 19th. Yes. 2021? Yes. It's a 3-page report. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. We'll go find it. Hasselbrock. Counsel, I don't want to interject in your record, but for clarity's sake, I believe we provided Dr. Kishner with what was Exhibit A to Dr. Bomar's report, which includes the October 19th, 2021 report. He just referenced that also, then appends the notes from the claim file, which may not be immediately obvious to Dr. Kishner. Witness. Oh, I see. Hasselbrock. As to what those dates are, and I don't know. The witness. Yeah. Hasselbrock. The witness will have to tell you whether or not he considered or reviewed those, but they are included in that document that was shared with him. Witness. Yes, I do have that. Furman. All right. I'm going to start with this document, Dr. Bomar's report, October 19th, 2021. This is a 3-page document, right? All right. This is the first full page, second full page, and it ends with the page where he dates it, October 19th, 2021. That's correct. And I also see now that I got that. I had seen that. And then today I got this other one, which is the medical records reviewed. And then it's followed by Dr. Bomar addendum. Okay, so inaudible addendum. I want to focus on what you were provided when you issued your letter. Okay, in terms of what you reviewed, when you prepared a letter dated November 3rd, 2021, correct? Yes. And is it accurate to state that what you reviewed in order to respond to Dr. Bomar's report was this 3-page report from Dr. Bomar? Is that correct? Yes. So we're going to mark Dr. Bomar's October 19th, 2021 report as Exhibit 3. Ms. Furman, I may need to go back and mark that the February 21st, 2021 office visit as Defendant's Exhibit 2. I'll do that next. Ms. Furman, okay, doctor, this is the document we'll mark as Defendant's Exhibit 2. You'll agree this is the office visit, a telehealth visit from February 9th, 2021, correct? Sure. Okay, all right. In terms of the materials then that you reviewed in order to respond to Dr. Bomar's report, it was a 3-page report from Dr. Bomar, correct? Say that one again. In terms of what you reviewed from Dr. Bomar to prepare your November 3rd, 2021 letter, it was Dr. Bomar's October 19th, 2021 letter, correct? Defendant's Exhibit 3? Yeah, well, I wouldn't phrase it that way. I responded to what he said based on his comments, but also based on the medical records that I had. And I would do, yeah. And that is Defendant's Exhibit 3 that I'm showing right now is the Dr. Bomar's report from October 19th of 2021, correct? Yes. Okay, so what were you asked to do in connection with the review of this document? To review the document and then to respond with my opinions about what he said. And based on my knowledge and understanding of Dr. Adelson's medical records as well as his examination and imaging studies. Okay, and you wrote a letter dated November 3rd, 2019, correct? No, I'm sorry, November 3rd, 2021. Yes, is that correct? That is correct. Okay, I'll pull that up. Okay, is this your November 3rd, 2021 letter, Dr. Kishner? Yes, and it's a total of 2 pages, correct? That's correct. And in this letter, you note that Dr. Bomar, in his report, commented upon a video of Dr. Adelson, correct? No. You note here that the report, Dr. Bomar's comment that he saw a video of a dental professional performing a procedure requiring the dentist to bend over in an unusual posture to visualize a tooth for only 50 to 60 seconds. You commented upon Dr. Bomar's notation to that effect that he had reviewed that video, correct? Well, you stated that he saw a video of Dr. Adelson, and I said that he did not. He saw a video of some dental professional, not specified who it was. I don't believe it was Dr. Adelson, but I don't know. So you don't know if Dr. Bomar reviewed the same video that you reviewed? I have no idea what Dr. Bomar saw. He said a dental professional. If he said, I saw a video of Dr. Adelson doing the procedure, then I would have known. He said a dental professional, which by my understanding would have not meant Dr. Adelson. Otherwise, he would have said Dr. Adelson, but no. Okay. Do you know the video that you saw? Was that a video of Dr. Adelson? Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Adelson told you that it was him in the video? Well, I could see him. Did you ask Dr. Adelson to provide any further videos or documentation depicting his practice as a periodontist when you were treating him? I thought the one was satisfactory. And you commented upon Dr. Adelson's video when he showed you that one video during an office visit, correct? Yeah. And you commented in your office notes about your impressions based upon reviewing that video of Dr. Adelson, correct? I think we have that on the record, yes. And in your letter, you commented on Dr. Adelson's method of practicing. And in this last paragraph, you talked about the way that he performed procedures, correct? Yes. You mentioned that he would perform multiple procedures on multiple patients within the course of a full workday, correct? Yes. And you've only ever seen Dr. Adelson after his alleged disability began, correct? I saw him in 2018. Do you have an understanding of when his disability began? I don't exactly know the exact dates. I know that symptoms began in 2016, and then he had evaluations by the various insurance people. But when his restrictions went in and out, I don't know. So you don't have an opinion as to the onset of his disability from his back condition. Is that correct? I can't state the exact date. No. So at the time that you started seeing Dr. Adelson, he had already reduced his work hours in 2018, correct? Yes. And to your understanding, the entire time that you have treated him, he had already reduced his practice to part-time, approximately 20 to 25 hours per week, correct? Well, but we already discussed that. The reality was that there were days where he worked for longer periods of time. So, well, I guess my point is 20 hours could be 2 10-hour days or 5 4-hour days. They are not the same from a patient point of view. So I think by doing it by hours is kind of misleading. What I said specifically is that he could work about 20 hours, but only in short segments. And unfortunately, as we discussed in the report, that there were times where more patients were booked than the 4 hours would have allowed. And he treated people for longer periods of time, and that resulted in exacerbation of symptoms. To your understanding, Dr. Adelson has had days where he has performed work on a full-time basis during the time period you were seeing him? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, we're not going to use the word, quote, full-time. An extended period of time on that day. As I said, 20 hours could be 2 10-hour days or 5 4-hour days. They are not the same. By Ms. Furman. To your understanding, has Dr. Adelson had days during the time you were treating him where he has worked 8, 9, 10-hour days? I don't know that he worked 8, 9, or 10-hour days, but I know he worked longer periods of time than he would have liked to, as per the half days. So they were extended days. But his exact time, I don't know, but I know that they were longer than he had chosen to do, and those events resulted in a disproportionate amount of discomfort. And that was based on what Dr. Adelson was reporting to you in terms of what he would experience following these extended work hours, correct? Sure. And it made sense in a medical context. I mean, it's certainly understandable. From a physiologic point of view, and having taken care of patients for many, many years, I felt it was consistent. Okay. And in fact, in this last paragraph of your letter, the information that's provided there regarding Dr. Adelson, the way that he worked, the positioning, his hours, and so forth, is all based on what Dr. Adelson reported to you in connection with seeking care and treatment from you, correct? Of course. Dr. Adelson is currently seeking to be paid disability benefits based on his claimed inability to work, as he previously did, due to his back condition, correct? Hasselbrock, objective form. Go ahead. Witness. That's my understanding. By Ms. Furman. Are you aware that an expert disclosure has been provided in this case, identifying that you will provide expert testimony on a number of matters regarding Dr. Adelson? Say that again. Are you aware that an expert witness disclosure has been made as to testimony you're expected to provide regarding Dr. Adelson? Yes. And what are the areas that you understand you would be designated to provide testimony regarding Dr. Adelson for? The nature of his symptoms, causation, and work capacity, I guess, would be the right term, and treatment modalities, and there may be others that I haven't thought of. Well, I need to understand what specifically you have been retained and designated to provide testimony regarding. So to your understanding, the issues that you have been asked to provide testimony regarding are what? Hasselbrock, objective form. Doctor, you can answer if you can. Witness. I can answer as best as I can say. I mean, it really depends on what you ask me. So in other words, the physiology of his symptoms, the nature of his symptoms, the exacerbating factors of his symptoms, the management options would all be within my medical expertise to discuss in terms of his care and management. But you could ask me something else, and obviously I am not limited to that. By Ms. Furman. So you believe you could provide additional testimony or opinions regarding Dr. Adelson beyond just his care and treatment, because you reviewed other records and you have been caring for Dr. Adelson over the course of the time period you have treated him. Is that correct? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, yes. Furman, I'm sorry, I don't know that. What's your answer? Well, my answer is yes, within the context of what you're asking me. You could ask me a question about prognosis, and everybody has asked me to make an opinion about it, but that would be within my expertise. Okay. So obviously what I answer is going to be predicated on what you ask me. Okay, you have not formulated an opinion as to the onset date of Dr. Adelson's disability, correct? Correct. And have you provided opinion regarding the appropriateness of care that Dr. Adelson has received since 2016? Have I provided an opinion on that? Correct. I haven't written anything down. No. Okay, and you did not treat Dr. Adelson prior to 2018, correct? That's correct. In terms of the appropriateness of Dr. Adelson's care since 2016, do you have any opinions regarding the appropriateness of his care since 2016? Yes. Okay, largely appropriate. Do you have an understanding of the frequency of his treatment during that time period? Just from the medical records that I've obtained. And that would be medical records of Dr. Gottlieb, Dr. Fadarani, and did you have Dr. Friedman's records? I only have I don't know about only. I have the MRI that Dr. Friedman had requested, but I don't know that I have a separate heading. Let me see. Are you aware that Dr. Friedman had recommended chiropractic treatment 3 times a week for 4 weeks when he started to see Dr. Adelson? Oh, Friedman is a chiropractor, yes. Yeah, no, I don't think I have read his note, but I think we already discussed my thoughts on the chiropractic. So is it correct to say that you're not aware that Dr. Friedman has recommended 3 times a week chiropractic treatments for 4 weeks when he first started seeing Dr. Adelson? No, I have no idea, right? And you don't know when Dr. Adelson saw Dr. Friedman. I'm not seeing his notes, so I don't know anything about what he did. And Dr. Gottlieb was an orthopedic doctor, correct? Yes. And he had recommended that Dr. Adelson obtain physical therapy, correct? He ordered physical therapy. Are you aware of whether Dr. Adelson obtained physical therapy pursuant to Dr. Gottlieb's recommendation? I have no idea. Do you know if Dr. Adelson has, at any point in time since the onset of his back condition, pursued physical therapy? Specifically, no. I know that he said exercise was of limited benefit, but whether he actually went to somebody for physical therapy and how often he went, I don't know. And in terms of Dr. Fadarani, he had recommended physical therapy as well, correct? I'm not sure that he did. I think he was talking about injections, nonsteroidals, cyclobenzaprine, reduce workload, reduce workday, avoid lifting, stretching. He was asked to talk to his chiropractor about proper support brace, but I'm not. You looked at Dr. Fadarani's office. Yes, that was what I was just looking at. Okay, the last page of that exhibit references should injection and physical therapy fail, Charlie is a candidate for surgery at L1 to 2 level discectomy and fusion. Yeah, inaudible. $85,000 for the surgery. Yes, I see that. And you see, prior to that, he references that he had actually scheduled the patient for an injection for lumbar epidural steroid injection, correct? I see that. You understand whether Dr. Adelson ever pursued an epidural steroid injection as recommended by Dr. Fadarani? I don't know. Objective form, Ms. Furman. And you had also indicated an epidural steroid injection would be a possibility for Dr. Adelson when you were treating him. Is that correct? I think we discussed that, and I said no. It was something that would have been available to him as treatment if he had wanted to pursue it, though, correct? Anything is available, but I don't think it was medically appropriate. And Dr. Fadarani had also prescribed cyclobenzaprine for Dr. Adelson. Is that correct? That's a muscle relaxant that's highly sedative. It would not be compatible with his work. Do you know whether he took cyclobenzaprine or tried other muscle relaxants as prescribed by Dr. Fadarani? He tried other muscle relaxants. I had given him tizanidine, which is much less sedating, but I would have hoped that he wouldn't have taken the cyclobenzaprine and attempted to work on patients. In terms of a support brace, is it your understanding that Dr. Fodorani had recommended to Dr. Adelson that he obtain a support brace for his back as treatment for his back pain? It says here, it's important to use a brace, and patient was instructed to ask the chiropractor to obtain the proper support brace, so he deferred it to the chiropractor. But he recommended that Dr. Adelson obtain a support brace from his chiropractor, correct? Yes, that's what it says. Do you know if Dr. Adelson ever obtained a support brace from a medical provider? I have no idea. Do you know if Dr. Adelson has used a back wrap that he obtained at a pharmacy for his back condition? A back wrap? I don't know. What is a back wrap? Would a back wrap that you obtain from a pharmacy be the same thing as a supportive brace prescribed by a medical provider? Neither going to help what he does, but yeah, I don't know if he got a back wrap or not. Have you reviewed all of the materials that Dr. Bomar has reviewed in terms of providing an opinion in this case? Objective form. By Ms. Furman. I guess I should start with, do you know what materials Dr. Bomar has reviewed? Inaudible. Well, he has some records from Dr. Fodorani that I didn't have, but on the other hand, what are those records? Well, I don't know. He says here September 29, 2016, the 31 October, and then he has a 31 October 2017. But then he had two others that I don't think I had. Those were the February 26, 2019, and then the July 2nd, 2019. I'm not sure if I had those. Yeah, the Dr. Gottlieb notes, I think here. Let me look. I think I have more Gottlieb notes than he had. And then he had Dr. Gelb. I don't have Dr. Gelb, but that was his shoulder and right knee. So I don't have Dr. Gelb. And what records of Dr. Gottlieb do you have? Gottlieb? Well, we got a lot of Gottlieb. We got August 29th. I guess it was at September 29th, 2016 and October 27, 2016. What else do I have here? Fodorani. He didn't have the disability, Bomar didn't have the disability assessments that we talked about earlier from Dr. Budin and the other one. Dr. Budin was the report references the insurance claim number, Dr. Natalie Budin. That's Natalie Budin. Physician consultant memo. That's correct. I don't know if he saw that. And in terms of the Gottlieb records that you have, we would need to obtain a copy of the materials that you have. Okay, so we need to understand what those materials are and how we go about requesting those, because those have not been provided pursuant to the authorization that I showed you earlier. Where are those records that you're looking at that you've got that we need to request? Yeah, those were sent to me at my old office. That was the inaudible that you're talking about from February 28th, 2018, Hasselbrock. Counsel, I think you have first, I think all of the documents have been produced, although they may not be identified in the production of documents that are in Dr. Kishner's possession or review. But I think you have a pending request, a document request that's due relatively soon that would have us respond and produce those documents. So I believe that you essentially have everything in the production that Dr. Kishner has. But to identify it and produce it in response to your request, I believe is an answer that you're getting, I think, even later this week. So, Ms. Furman, okay. Dr. Kishner, I just want to make sure we have an understanding. You still have access to your old practice's records? No, I got my records that I had downloaded prior, but I don't have any new records that are updated, and I can't verify what I have on that drive. What I did is I downloaded what records I had for Dr. Adelson, I guess in February of 19 to my computer, so that I have the totality of his records. Do you know why? I think inaudible. In February of 2019, you did that? Yeah, because I saw him in January and I had access at that point to my old computer. So I brought those over, but I don't know what's happened to that computer since, so I can't answer that question. Okay, are you aware that Dr. Bomar had portions of Dr. Adelson's sworn testimony from a deposition available to review? Yeah, I do. It says here on, I guess, the second page or the third page, quote, the deposition dated February 28th, 2019 was reviewed. Okay, and share screen. Is this the document to your understanding, Dr. Kishner, that identifies the materials Dr. Bomar had available for him to review this Exhibit C? Hold on, let's see. I got an A. No, I don't think I have C. I just have A. Okay, I don't have the deposition. Okay, so Exhibit C with respect to Dr. Adelson's medical records lists Dr. Fadarani, documents from Discovery, Dr. Gottlieb, pharmacy records, and then a chronological listing of materials that were provided to Dr. Bomar here. Do you see the first 2 pages of Exhibit C? Uh-huh. And in those materials, there has been excerpts of Dr. Adelson's deposition taken in 2019, correct? Yes. And then there's a document, a deposition transcript from Dr. Fadarani. Yes, I see he said that. Were you provided with Dr. Fadarani's deposition? No, but basically Dr. Bomar said that the deposition of Fadarani dated January 28th, 2019 did not differ from the information in his office note in any significant degree. And those materials were not provided to you in connection with providing a response to Dr. Bomar's report, correct? The deposition wasn't. The Fadarani notes I had. Okay. And are you familiar with the intervals between treatment that Dr. Adelson has had in the course of care for his back condition? Hasselbrock. I'm sorry, what was that question? Ms. Furman. The intervals between treatments that he has had. Witness. None other than what we have already discussed in terms of the dates that I have from the visits and the other visits of the other doctors. So, by Ms. Furman. And have you provided any opinions regarding the appropriate level of care that Dr. Adelson has obtained in terms of the frequency of his treatment? Objective form. Witness. Say that question again. Furman. Have you formulated any opinions regarding the appropriateness of the frequency of Dr. Adelson's treatment? Sure. And what are those opinions? I mean, he's doing fine. It's your opinion that Dr. Adelson has obtained appropriate treatment in terms of the frequency of his medical visits. Is that correct? Sure, that's correct. I mean, basically, he's in a situation that we have no immediate remedy that would resolve his problems whatsoever. The doctors have said to him, look, these are your problems. These are the things to avoid. I specifically said that. If you do that, you'll stay in a certain status quo, and you can exist in that. But we don't have a remedy that is going to make all of this go away. And I can certainly understand that, and there's really no need to see me on a regular basis for me to tell him that. So based on your determination that the appropriate care for Dr. Adelson is avoiding work in excess of what he reports he's able to tolerate, that no further, more frequent treatment would be of benefit to him. Is that your opinion? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, no. Furman, okay. Answer, that's your opinion. Question, well, answer. My opinion is don't do things that exacerbate the symptoms. So if he told me, hey, I was, doing squats with 200 pounds on my shoulders, I'd say, don't do that. If he says, I'm bending down to pick up stuff from my car repetitively and model my car, I would say no. If he wanted to go downhill skiing and, do that on a repetitive basis, I would say that's probably not a good idea. So my limits on him aren't strictly work-related. They are activity-related. Don't do things when you're in a flex posture or rotational posture for extended periods of time where your spine has to support your body weight in an awkward position, which is flexion and rotation, which would cause the symptoms to exacerbate. He can do that within a limited amount of time, but if he does it in an extended period of time, which we've discussed, he's going to cause increased symptoms. So that's the recommendation. I don't think anybody has really recommended anything all that different, and none of us have a cure. If you have an acute exacerbation, then the anti-inflammatories and tizanidine is a reasonable thing to do for the acute exacerbation, but it's not the way to prevent problems in the future. Similarly, injections, if symptoms didn't get better, could speed it up a little bit, but they are not going to change the ultimate outcome. And so we're in a situation where you have a problem. There's not a specific remedy to make it go away. but there are remedies to keep it in check. And that's kind of what we have done. And a patient doesn't need to hear that on any regular basis unless there was an exacerbation that didn't get resolved, which would then obviously require further evaluation. And in your letter dated November 3rd, 2019, did you provide that opinion regarding Dr. Adelson's medical care and treatment? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, yes, more or less. I said he can manage his symptoms while working in his position, which we talked about on a limited basis, but the repetitive nature of the required movement and developing pain has cumulative effect throughout the day and results in limitation in his ability to do the full-time periodontic practice, which we had previously outlined. Furman, and you're indicating your recommendations were for him or beyond just work restrictions, that you have restrictions and limitations for him for other activities as well? Right, in general life, yes. And you last saw Dr. Adelson on February of 2021, correct? Yes. And prior to that, it had been almost 2 years since you had seen, it has been over 2 years since you had seen him, is that correct? January of 2019. So for a period of 2 years, you had not seen Dr. Adelson for care or treatment for his back condition at all. Is that correct? I think that's correct. If he was experiencing continued symptoms during that period of time and continued pain, would you have expected him to return for care and treatment? A change in symptoms, yes, or symptoms that didn't resolve within his previous experience. So in other words, if he had a flare-up of back pain that lasted, 5 days, it's probably something he has experienced, so he knew what to do. If he had a problem that didn't resolve over, say, a month, then he might come back in, and during that time, you didn't see him for any kind of extended flare that he experienced, correct? I did not see him for any change in neurological symptoms or symptoms that would not resolve within a normal course of events. So is it fair to say your assumption is that his condition was stable during that period of time, that you didn't see him and had him return for further care and treatment with you? I wouldn't use the word stable. I would say that there was no change in the symptomatology in an overarching manner. So it doesn't mean that one day he wasn't worse than another day, but it means that they were within the sort of spectrum of symptomatology that he had learned to anticipate over the past 5 years. And if he had in fact deteriorated in the interim, would you have recommended further treatment and referrals? Not necessarily referral. I would have assessed what was causing the exacerbation or deterioration and then made appropriate management options. Furman, Doctor, I believe that's all that I have for you. I don't know if Mr. Hasselbrock has some questions. Cross-examination by Hasselbrock. Doctor, I do have just, I think, a question or two for you quickly, since I know we're over 2 hours at this point. Answer, so we're in the 3-hour range, so go ahead. Question, sure, I appreciate that. So I think you noted that you had Dr. Gottlieb's records going back to maybe August 29th of 2016? Answer, Gottlieb. Yeah, the first one I have from Gottlieb is August 29, 2016, and that was his actual note. And then I see that there was patient worksheets. I think it was from Gottlieb's office, but I don't actually see a note that he wrote at that point. Is it your understanding from the review of the records that Dr. Adelson has had similar symptomatology going back to that September 2016 time period? Yes, I do. Furman, object to the form. Hasselbrock, is it your opinion based on Dr. Adelson's medical condition that, well, strike that. Let me ask you another question first. Is it your understanding that Dr. Adelson has had relatively continuous symptomatology since that September 2016 time period to the present? Furman, object to the form. Witness, yes, I do believe that. Hasselbrock, and is it your understanding that is it your opinion that the restrictions and limitations that you described on his work activity and other activity would have been appropriate from the onset of his symptoms dating back to that September 2016 time period? Furman, object to the form. Witness, yes, I do. Hasselbrock, all right, thank you, doctor. I think that's all I have. Okay, so just some wrap up language, and then it's over. Okay, so let's see who is still here actually interested in hearing this wonderful deposition of the neurologist. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Oh, okay, yeah. Looks like people are leaving because it is getting late wherever they are. I'll start from the beginning if there are any questions here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I know it's kind of an odd hour in the middle of the day. Hi, who said Kate? Thank you for being here. Hope Charlie is having an absolutely horrible time in jail. Yeah. Well, it sounded he sure looked pretty miserable when he showed up in court on Friday. So he looked kind of unhealthy and pale and pretty sullen and aged. Yeah. I'm sure he's letting the staff know who he is. Do you know? Okay. Well, if you guys have seen True Lifestyles channel, there is a video with information about Katie's attitude in jail, and Katie was throwing a fit because they wanted to give her a roommate or a cellmate, and she was saying that she should have her own private cell because of something about how she was involved in a very high profile murder case, so she needs to have her own cell. Yeah, so tune into that YouTube channel if you want to hear a lot more disturbing information about Katie's going-ons in jail. Dr. Adelson, presumably he'll be struck off if convicted of murder. Yeah, I'm sure if he gets convicted, he will definitely lose his license. I don't think much of someone that tries to get disability for money when they are not hurt. Charlie and his many girlfriends prove that. Yeah, a lot of those phone calls that he was making, which you guys can hear on Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel, it doesn't sound like he is suffering any sort of back problem with all his activities and traveling all over the place. Yeah, hi, Pancakes. Yeah, needs a psychiatrist. Yeah, well, again, going back to True Lifestyles YouTube channel, she got some of Charlie's call records from the jail, and it looks like he's making a ton of phone calls with a Filipino-American therapist. So maybe it's for mental health counseling. Yeah, no problem driving a boat and a go-kart. That's right. Yeah. Oh, hope Charlie doesn't get monkeypox in jail because we know how that's okay. Well, we shall see. Yeah. Wow. I can't believe you're tuning in from Australia. Yeah. Thank you. I saw that message where Norla said that she or potentially he had to go to sleep. He might finally settle down and marry an inmate in prison because that was the underlying problem. Okay. No, Charlie did not want to settle down with anyone. Did he sell drugs as well? Well, there is a recording, a wiretapped recording that you can hear on Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel where he was talking to some guy. I'm not sure if it was a friend or someone that was maybe another dentist, possibly, talking about selling steroids. And there was also some other more recent conversation that's on Fancy Fiction's website or YouTube channel where it sounded like he and Katie were talking about selling marijuana or getting a big bunch of marijuana. I'm not really sure because that conversation was just really hard to understand. So a lot of those phone calls between Katie and Sigfredo or Katie and other people just, I don't know, they're very hard to understand. She sounds like a out of control, illiterate teenager. Yeah, a lot of cursing thrown in also. Yeah, Charlie bought lots of drugs, probably sold a bit to friends. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay, Charlie was into weeds and steroids. He was talking to one of his friends on a recorded call. Yeah, just mentioned that. How did Charlie get enough money to buy multiple sports cars? I'm sure he made a lot of money. Oh, yeah. I mean, even in his disability insurance application, he said that his income was maybe $940,000 in 1 year and then around $987 or $997 a year. So, I mean, he clearly had plenty of money. His father was also a successful dentist, and they owned multiple rental properties or apartment complexes, I think, or things. Yeah. Charlie made big money before his yeah, so no, it was not just by doing teeth implants. Yeah. Business must have been slow to start. Yeah. I don't know why anyone would want to do that when you're already a successful dentist or periodontist and you have real estate. Why get involved in potential criminal acts? But look at what happened. Now he's being accused of murdering his former brother-in-law. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not able to get to every single comment here. A lot of stuff going on, and plus I have to get back to work. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Wendy hasn't offered to supplement his income now that he killed. Well, I mean, I'm still pretty sure that Charlie did or was capable of making a lot more than Wendy. I think in that deposition, which you can see on Deep Dive True Crime Mentor Lawyer's channel, he has a little movie that he made recreating the deposition of Wendy Adelson. And if my memory serves me correct, she said she was making or had made $85,000 as a clinical law professor when she was at FSU. So somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I recall from memory. So Charlie clearly, going into dentistry had a lot more earning potential. So, but that's for another discussion, whether going to law school is worth it or not. Yeah. Do you think they have a shot at Wendy too? Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows what evidence is out there? I was just watching today's newly released video interview on Surviving the Survivor, where they again interviewed attorney John Singer, as well as there's like a radio talk show guy from Tallahassee. Now I've forgotten his name. I think his first name was Preston. So you guys should listen to that interview on Surviving the Survivor. And John Singer said that right now, from what we know, it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough evidence to convict Wendy of anything, although Kappelman did either name or hint at Wendy as being a co-conspirator. So we shall see. I mean, there's definitely a lot more evidence out there that has not been made public. So is Charlie in solitary confinement or in general population? Yeah, that I'm not 100% sure of. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah. Charlie would have been way better off if Katie was found guilty. At the first trial, they may have never. Yeah, well, I think they were still going to work on that, though. So that's pretty amazing that they were able to find an expert and the technology had improved to be able to enhance it better. Yeah, he's missing a lot. Well, who knows? I mean, maybe he was already dating somebody else by the time he got arrested. And he's been making lots of phone calls to that Filipino-American therapist lady. So, True Lifestyles has reported poor Katie keeps requesting larger underpants. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay. And then it's just kind of funny, like seeing these handwritten requests and information about Katie saying that she's tired of these bitches. And what else did she say? Yeah, it's like things where she's like cursing and getting into trouble, and got into trouble for having some nose ring that someone, I guess, just somehow figured out how to get get some sort of implements to give her a nose piercing. Yeah, Katie really wants that jalapeno squeeze cheese, right? And her Hawaiian punch and her honey bun without mold. I mean, it's kind of funny reading that stuff. Yeah. Has anyone? Yeah. So again, True Lifestyles, I'm helping to market her channel. Yeah, so she said that the visitation logs indicated that Charlie had no visitors in jail through July, I suppose. Although due to COVID, they might not be allowing visitors. I'm not 100% sure, but sounds like he hasn't had any visitors, but he's been making tons and tons of phone calls, more to his father as well as that Filipino-American therapist person. Yeah. Why didn't Katie take the deal, you think? Yeah, that's a big question that everybody is just making guesses at. out on YouTube. And I think probably it just has to do with her screwed up mental sense, because there have been so many people who were convicted of crimes or convicted of murder who just keep steadfastly saying that they're innocent, they had nothing to do with it, even though all the evidence points to the fact that the person did commit the crime. So I think it's, number one, her pride, as well as some sort of psychological issues, where she will never admit that she ever did anything wrong. Another potential reason could be that she would fear for her own life or the safety of her children if she did rat out on Charlie. And, part of it is that, maybe she really doesn't care that much about her kids. Maybe she doesn't really care about getting out there again and struggling to make money in the real world. It seemed like she always had financial difficulties and problems trying to find people to take care of her kids and help her out with her kids. And her mother has already passed away. It sounded like her mother did do a lot of work to help her with her children before. So, I mean, maybe Katie is enjoying life in a big house. She's got a girlfriend now. So that could be reasons, as well as maybe her children or her family members are still getting benefits or money paid through the Adelsons or some other third party. We just don't know. I'm just guessing here. Yeah. Needs to find a new Jewish man. I doubt that's going to happen. Yeah. Okay, so that sounds about right. Yeah, I'm not sure how much she's making now. I heard she's working for some company, but she also gets the Social Security benefits every month for her children. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pancakes. Yeah. Charlie might want to rethink the jury trial for his. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle that lawsuit. I guess it all depends on what happens with his criminal case, because if he's locked up in prison, if he's found guilty of the crimes, then why would he want to just potentially, show up for a civil lawsuit in his prison garb and shackled? So yeah, it just seems really weird to still have that case going on. Yeah, Charlie could implicate Wendy. Yeah, I mean, he could potentially. Yeah, he could. Do you think Charlie included his side to increase this? Oh, of course not. Yeah, he wouldn't want to include his illegally gained funds as part of that. Oh, and speaking of that, in the previous live stream, somebody did bring up workers' comp. So I just find that kind of surprising. Just reading the rest of the deposition today, it sounds like maybe he did file a workers' comp claim, because this neurologist who was deposed mentioned looking over some workers' comp paperwork. So, we didn't hear any other details about it, but it makes it sound like he probably did also file a workers' comp claim to try to get more money from another insurance source. So I don't know what is going on or what could have happened with that, because that stuff isn't within the regular court system. Not knowing anything about the way workers' comp is run in Florida, at least in North Carolina, I'm somewhat familiar with that process, and it's done through an administrative court. So could have been some other legal issue that Charlie was involved in. Yeah, thank you, Albert. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a good afternoon also. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Jill, definitely sounds like it sucks because of all of Katie's complaints, as well as Sigfredo's complaints, which you can see on True Lifestyles, where they were handwriting all these things, like, can we please get more tablets? There's 94 prisoners here and only 6 tablets, and it's causing a lot of conflict amongst us. So that was written by Sigfredo, something to that effect. And then I don't know who it is, but some jail administrator wrote back to him and said, well, you guys just need to learn how to be like adults, or else we're going to take the tablets away altogether. Yeah. So it does sound like a pretty crummy place. But then again, Katie does get to have access to a tablet where she's playing games and, reading Cosmopolitan magazine and other magazines. And I don't know what productive thing they are really doing in jail, but I wish they would actually be forced, like prisoners in other countries, to make products or go pick up some trash on the side of the highway. I thought that's what a lot of prisoners have to do. Yeah, maybe when it gets cooler, then they'll be taken out to go pick up trash. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, she could, but I really doubt that's gonna happen at this very late in the game. Yeah, yeah, reading self-help books, yeah. Yeah, Tara Kawas didn't wanna mention that because of privacy issues. So, it sounded like Katie's, or Sigfredo's mother helped out a lot with the children also, so I wouldn't be surprised if the kids are either with Sigfredo's mother or, seems like Sigfredo might have siblings also, and then Katie has a couple of brothers, so I have no idea where the kids really are. Yeah, but if you listen to that interview on Friday that Mentor Lawyer put up on Deep Dive True Crime, where he spoke with Tara Kawas. Kawas did say that she kind of hinted that maybe Katie doesn't even really have any sort of relationship with her kids anymore because Kawas said something like, "Oh, well, they're teenagers and I'm sorry it's come to this, but, that we have to communicate through the internet, but if the kids hear this, I want them to know that their mother cares about them." So it kind of sounds like the kids probably don't even want to be in touch or go visit her or send her letters or whatever. So just guessing there based on what Kawas said on Friday. Yeah, no one will input. Yeah, yeah, because Charlie's probably still thinking there's a good chance he could just totally be found not guilty and get away with it, and then he can move on with his merry life, maybe. Yeah, I can't see Katie choosing moldy honey buns over. Yeah, but then she might not have any more money. Like, what kind of job could she potentially get if she got out of jail? Well, I guess she could try to get a job again with the real estate office that she used to work for, and she also worked for, I think it was Charlie's ex-roommate's dermatology practice, but I think, yeah, they probably had a falling out or something. Yeah, so who knows about her employability if she were to get out of prison. Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, fine dining, the Hawaiian punch, the canned chili and rice, and yeah, the special squeezed cheese. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's basically what was mentioned, when Kappelman, I think, was questioning her at Katie's trial. Yeah. "Can we hear the jail phone calls?" Yeah, no, we can't. I mean, based on what True Lifestyles tried to do, she did try to find out through the jail administration, but, that's not anything that we, the public, can have access to. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the IRS or the feds could certainly charge him with tax fraud. Yeah. Hi, Debt-Free Dad. Thank you for being here. I was just watching your live stream show from the other day, so thank you. Okay. I wanna see mean does he kinda look like when they take a face and superimpose on it? Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, when Charlie was younger and happier and not stressed out about trying to hide his role in a murder, he actually did look pretty good. So, just wanna put that out there, but that was ages ago. So now he just looks like a wreck. So they also have other people communicate with other inmates on the tablets, all being done on our dime. Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. They gotta be put to use. Do something productive. Oh, okay. Why would jail allow inmates read books like 50 Shades of Grey book? Won't this cause inmate to cause. Yeah, I mean, that does I haven't read that book. I've heard about the movie, but yeah, that does sound like something like why should Katie be given that kind of book to read? Yeah. Does Charlie still talk to his kid? That I do not. Oh, actually, probably. Yeah, because True Lifestyles, in getting Charlie's phone records from jail, noted that he did make some phone calls with his baby mama. So I don't know what kind of relationship they really have, but maybe the baby mama at least is willing to let him talk to the kid on the phone. Because remember, baby mama had to sue Charlie and get paternity established as well as child support several years ago. So so it sounds like he's probably still talking to the kid on the phone. Yeah, hi, Miss Pepper. Thanks for being here. Yeah, that's right. Anywhere where they work will be crushed on Yelp. Oh, okay. Who would write a book? Katie? I don't know. Is she literate enough? I don't know. It'd probably be full of F-bombs. Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm sure it would have to be ghost written. Yeah. Not in jail unless you want credit working in the kitchen. Okay, yeah, I guess, something made you laugh. Yeah, yeah, boobs bear Charlie. Yeah, what did June call him? Boo Boo Bear? Yeah, that was just like, I don't know. I mean, it does make me feel like that I don't really want to listen to all these intimacies about these people. They're kind of gross, yeah, or just disturbing and weird. Like June saying that her boobs hurt, so that's why she couldn't do jumping jacks, and saying that she had to sleep with her 4 teddy bears, and I don't know, just all those conversations, sometimes they're just, like, too much. Yeah. Okay, you read part of it. Trash. Okay. Let's see. Inmates have lots of privileges. There was a resort that the feds turned into a prison. Wow. It did not even have a fence. The fence line was painted on it. Really? Okay, well, where was that? Where's that prison? It's gotta be some sort of, like, white-collar crime or nonviolent offender type prison, right? Interesting. Yeah, although people keep saying that in Florida, the state prisons are totally different. It is not nice, and it's not anywhere near as posh as some of the federal prisons could be. Yeah. Hope Donna lives long enough. Yeah. Yeah, you guys definitely should tune into Surviving the Survivor, their latest video about the Dan Markel case. So, the speakers were talking more about Donna, and, they seem to believe also that Donna should be charged too. Yeah. Why is Charlie allowed to have kids with a girl or not Jewish? They just opened his brother for Mary. Well, I mean, I think at after a while, the parents probably figured they can't control their kids, right? Because, um, wasn't Wendy dating someone that was Hispanic or Latino? And then Charlie, most of the people Charlie dated were not Jewish, as far as I know. Yeah. Let's see, it was funny watching June look like she was still upset after that she didn't end up with Charlie. She should be so thankful she seriously dodged a man. Yeah, literally, literally, because even today, okay, so I keep citing to today's latest video on Surviving the Survivor, but one of the main pieces of new information that I heard from there was the radio broadcaster guy said he had heard that the FBI had gotten evidence that Charlie and the parents had were made a private chartered flight out of the country. So, he wasn't sure if that was 100% true. I don't know if that's true or not, but then I started thinking, well, wait a second. Based on what I've heard, the Adelsons paid for June and their 2 former Adelson Institute employees to take a private chartered flight up to Tallahassee when they had to testify in Katie's trial this year. So, I mean, that's kind of scary. You know, why would you want to get on a plane that's paid for by the Adelsons? I mean, the plane could have had some malfunction, and then there goes their witnesses. So, anyway, it is scary to think, you know, like, is June at risk? She would be a valuable witness. Well, she's already said a lot of valuable things anyway to the investigators as well as in the trials, although, as we know, during the trial, she was just kinda hedging around and hemming and hawing and acting like she didn't really remember what she had told the investigators. So, um, you know, we shall see, but if I were June or her family, I would also be concerned about her safety too. If Donna gets charged, I think officially she would win the biggest Jewish for meddling. Oh, I guess so, yeah. Is that the stereotype that Jewish mothers like to meddle or try to control their kids? I guess, I don't know. Um, don't want to get people angry at me, right? Um, Administrative Maximum Security Prison, ADX, at the Federal Correctional Complex in Florence, Colorado. They removed the tennis court because the optics looked bad with inmates playing doubles. Yeah, totally. I mean, they can get their exercise, but should they have a tennis court and be living on a resort property? I mean, that's just bizarre. Yeah. Okay, well, I do have to get back to work. Got lots of work coming up for the next couple of days. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for caring about Dan Markel and this case. And hopefully, I'll be able to do another live stream over the weekend. So, have a good day, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Oh, um, well, no, they didn't. They ended up not disowning the oldest brother, Robert, but from what I've read, even on Dan's blog, he wrote about the wedding, and Donna and Harvey, they did attend the oldest son's wedding, and so supposedly they had made amends, after busting up their relationship first, but then later, I think the parents did sort of approve of it, but now they have no relationship. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys, everybody, for being there. I'll just flash up these little quick comments real fast, and hope to see you guys on the next live stream sometime this weekend then. Yeah. Okay. Appreciate all your support. Have a great day then.